So we're going to be installing the Soflo rear bumper today. One thing that people think I'm crazy about is I'm putting in methanol injection nitrous into this system, and I'm going to push this 2.7 liter as far as I can push it. Once that's all done, then we'll install some turbos. So if you stick in long enough, we're going to show you all those different adds and installs and explain to you how it all works and how it all runs really well and smooth. As of yesterday, I took off my fan blades for my intercooler because I installed the Mishimoto, and it reduced my IAT substantially. You got to pay attention to when those flaps are closing, etc. Well, now I don't have to worry about it. I'm pretty excited. Call me crazy, but what the heck? What are we going to do? Not break things? Come on, guys. All right, let's dive into this thing. This is the Soflo Customs rear bumper. And today we're probably going to be just installing this, but it's possible that I might install my RGB lights, also provided by Soflo Customs. Nice packaging, looks pretty stout. Looks like we got the accessories here, the bumper's up in here. It's nicely wrapped. Yep, got some mounting plates, some corner pouts, assuming some more mounting hardware. Let's get this thing installed and stop talking. All right, so this is what the kit comes with. Comes with the bumper, the end cap brackets right here, and then the license plate unit. If you want to put it on, there's a specific way to put it on. It comes underneath the bumper and it brackets right in. They also send you a light to mount to your license plate bracket, so you can have it illuminated. I won't be installing the license plate bracket or the light. I'll be installing the bumper. So first and foremost, these two bolts got to come out. These are the 18s, and then these guys back here, these are the 15s. What I would recommend to do, as long as I can, is I'll take these out and the other ones out over there. And once we take those out, we'll make sure that all the wiring's good, and then we'll pop the wiring harness off. That way we can unplug it, pull the bumper smoothly out, make sure all the brackets are mounted on the new bumper, and put it all the way back in and go from there. As you can see, the bumper's starting to release. I want to make sure that nothing's gonna fall on me. But now she's coming out. So there's a harness up in here that I'll show you once we get it out. But let's get on to the next side, get the bolts loose. We'll worry about the harness in a minute. Now this one's tricky, but don't forget when you pull the last bolt out, this eye-ring's gonna probably fall off, so be careful. All right, thankfully it's held on by a grommet, so we don't have to worry about it falling in us in the face. Okay, as you can see, bumper's fully loose. Wiring harness is here for the rear sensors. There is a clip up here that I'm gonna take a look at in a minute. Looks like it's just a quick sandwich clip. We'll pull that guy out, and then I think we should be good. Looks like there's another one over here, possibly. Yep, sandwich clip right up in here. Right up in here. So we'll get those guys loose. Once we break those loose, we'll pull the bumper off, clean everything up, because I like to put it back to where it's clean. And then we'll get the other bumper prepped and ready to put back on. There you go. And there she sits. That's what it looks like underneath your bumper. Now these are a quick squeeze type of pin here. Just pop those off. Make sure everything's cleaned up. We'll put the new bumper back on. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out all those sensors and put them on the new bumper first. Once those are done, I'm going to make sure the brackets line up and get everything put back together. I recommend you get yourself one of these to pull these keepers off. If you're anything like me, I've had some challenges in this and pulling these specific keepers off. And one of the main reasons is because when I did my delete on my muffler, I got it a little too hot. And this one right here, this sensor's, or the light piece is bad. It's melted. I'm assuming this one or this one's bad too. But anyways, get one of these. It'll make it easier. You're gonna want to pry away, and it just comes right out once it's completely pried away, just like that. All right, we're all loose. Use a 15mm again to pull the rest of the brackets off. Want to keep this the right direction so you don't have any problems. So we're going to lay this back here in the right sequence. And now we should be able to twist our sensors right up out of here. So these little tabs, see if you can see that. These little tabs right here, they have to be pried away, and then the whole unit pops right out, just like this. Once that pops out, you should be able to push the other keeper through. Okay, so these units, one's on one side of the bumper, the other's on the other, and they slide in just like that. And the keeper, or the sensor, goes right into here. They just plug right in just like that. Always want to make sure that they're good and tight. Sometimes the brackets aren't going to seat, so you want to see if you can flip them around. Maybe that's the issue. Well, there's another issue, but always make sure that that bracket's sitting in there nicely. You don't want it to sit there and rattle or twist or turn. When it does that, it's not in there right. So we want to make sure that we're getting it in there right. Because if we don't, well, we're going to have problems if we don't. Sometimes it's just as simple as turning it around or what have you. You want to make sure it's in there as solid as possible is what I'm getting at. Okay, that's in. Now, I'm gonna put the harness on. So now, with the Soflo bumper, there's routing spots. The light bracketing is a 4-hole bracket for a light, for a chase light if you want it. There's also bracketing around here if you have a different type of mount. Unfortunately, it doesn't carry the type of mount that I need. So anyways, when you push these in, make sure those keepers are sandwiched on there so it's solid. Route the wires through the holes that are provided underneath here, all the way down and through there, and then have them come out where they need to at the other end. So what I'm doing right now is I'm measuring the hole distance on my rear bumper mount so I can make sure that I put those brackets on the right direction. So it's 46 inches from frame to frame, and I need these holes to line up. I need these end holes to line up. So if we go on the inside like this and come from underneath, because I have to come from underneath, then we're going to be perfect. Okay, if you try to flip them and go on the outside, you're going to be too wide. So they need to come in where the top of your bumper is, where this lines up. You don't want them opposing, because if you do that, it's going to run into the brackets. It's obvious, but I just wanted to measure to make sure. Okay, these bolts, which we already have out, they're an 18. Your washer's got it, or your nut's got a dig, so you obviously want to put the washer on the top side. If you've already routed your wiring harness, that's a good thing in my mind. I always want to have everything in place that's going to be necessary to be in place before I put in a bracket. That just simply helps me identify any issues or problems that I need to cure before I put everything mounted on. You're going to want to make sure to have a box end wrench to do this part. That way you can tighten it appropriately and get it down as tight as possible. Remember, this is your bumper. It is not some piece just adding on to the front with lighting. The good thing is these are notched, so you can move your bumper up or down depending on where you want it. And quite frankly, you don't need to tighten these until you're ready to leave it alone. So let's route the rest of this wiring harness and let's get the other bracket mounted. Hindsight 2020 always. Hindsight's telling me that I should have routed this before I put the sensors in. Would have been a lot easier. Now, I mentioned to you that I like things tight and neat, so you're going to see me start zip tying some things here in a minute to keep the wires out of the way so they're not sitting there dangling. And we're going to appropriately prepare it for lighting when I get that time to put lighting in here. Remember, this is a bumper, so it's not going to line up perfectly unless you're really good at alignment. And also, you got to make sure that everything's out of the way and you're not going to have any issues. Like, one of the concerns I have right now is once I get this up, am I going to be able to shut my door? Oh yeah, I'll be fine. Okay. Everything looks good under here. Now we're just going to connect the wires back to where they were. Make sure you hear them click. Definitely don't want them to fall loose. I swear, you want to know how to get these things done and get them done the right way. You just watch me and the mistakes that I make. Remember, you want this tight, so if it's snug and getting on there really tight, that's a good thing. This is your bumper. It's not a body add-on. It's a bumper. And then she's all squared away. I think I needed to create an alignment pin on this one. There you have it. Soflo Customs rear bumper. One last little comment. I had a guy mention to me the other day that he said Soflo's products typically are very tight and you have to do some alterations to make them fit. Well, that's not true if you install it the right way. The one thing that is true is this bumper itself is very, very tight. The reason why it's tight is because it's specifically engineered to mount to your Bronco, so it's going to be very tight. I want you to keep in mind, when you mount this, it's easier to mount with two people when you're mounting it back. You can still do it alone. I did it alone, and I haven't worked out in 5 years. So, with that in mind, we're not buying some cheap Chinese product. What you're buying is actually a product that fits, that works. A product that's actually going to keep it strong. A product that's going to withstand a rock. A product that's going to withstand, somebody hitting you in the rear and keeping your family safe. It's not a plastic bumper, which you had before. That plastic bumper had 4 brackets, and the only thing it kept safe was the corners. The interior, it didn't. Obviously, there's a frame, a subframe underneath there, but this thing's gonna keep you extra strong and extra safe. I wish you the best. Happy trails, safe rides. Always stay present, and always seek God.